It's time for the Onyx News. Extraterrestrials, time anomalies, dimensions, remote viewing, UFOs, UAPs, and USOs, ghostly encounters, abductions, Bigfoot, and more. Your end of the week news source for everything unexplained. Here is your host for the Onyx News Podcast, Margie K.
Hello and welcome to Onyx News. I'm your host, Margie K. We're here every Friday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time. And as usual, we have a great show coming up for you this evening. I do want to mention, though, check out the Onyx Network blog because we have some very interesting posts that have been put up lately that I think you will find of interest. And if you will look for your state, you'll find a special blog just for your state with spooky Halloween things to do for the whole family and also for real haunted sites. So there's a lot going on there. Violet Wisdom has been putting a lot of effort into that, so do check it out. This evening, my guest is Sabina Qureshi. She's a scholar of both science and spirit to explore the profound energetic transition shaping life on Earth. According to Sabina, humanity is undergoing a deep planetary transformation from the Age of Pisces into the Age of Aquarius. Far beyond astrological metaphor, this shift is a multidimensional awakening touching every aspect of our collective and individual evolution. Sabina holds a BSc in genetics from the University of Alberta and comes from a multicultural academic home that was always filled with classical music, both European and North Indian. Having a long love of music and art, she studied European classical piano, violin, viola, as well as North Indian raga music, sitar, tablas, tempura, and voice. A longtime student of the Ageless Wisdom teachings, Sabina co-created and co-hosted a series of webinars aired on YouTube about the Ageless Wisdom entitled What in the World is Happening from 2020 to 2023. So do check that out when we are finished with our interview today. Welcome to the program, Sabina.
Hi, Margie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It sounds like you had a very interesting life. I'm especially interested in other musicians. And you played a number of instruments, and each one of those are completely different. So that's kind of unusual.
Well, I wanted to play the cello as a little kid, but my mom played the cello. And being a child, I thought, well, if I play a different instrument, she won't know when I make mistakes.
Oh, yes, she would.
Exactly.
Musicians, they recognize mistakes on any instrument.
Exactly. But, I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm a bass player, classical bass and, electric jazz.
Oh, cool. So you've been in orchestras as well.
Oh, yes. Many orchestras.
I'm fascinated by the bass because I think it holds the key to the whole thing, whether it's Western, classical, jazz, rock, you name it. I think the bass is it's like the container for everything.
It is. It's the foundation for everything. Yeah. And that kind of translated into my personal life, being the background and the foundation for our businesses and everything else. But anyway, this is not about me tonight. This is about you. So you said you're a student of the Ageless Wisdom teachings. Tell us what that is.
Well, it's a body of teaching that is, I would call it a teaching that's alive in the sense that it tells us about the world we live in, and it also is the underpinning for all the world's religions. So basically, the Ageless Wisdom tells us that we're all connected to each other. Every atom is connected to every atom, that there is consciousness in everything, and that we're all part of this vast process of evolution, not just the evolution of our physical bodies or of, the Darwinian idea of evolution of populations, but
Mhm.
that our minds, our consciousness is evolving, but not just ours, the consciousness of everything is evolving. And so there's this idea of intelligence that's inherent in everything, but at different levels. And one very simple way to sum it up would be the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or don't do what you don't want done to you.
Right.
And that teaching is in all the religions, all the great traditions have that teaching in them. And there are many other ways to understand our religious traditions, but the Ageless Wisdom teaching says that each religion is an expression of this underlying teaching that came forward at a particular time in a particular place through a particular prophet, usually. And so that's why the different religions will use different types of vocabularies or metaphors or images, because it depends on the time and place in which that particular prophet was living and the people to whom he was speaking, what their kind of range of experience was in life. So, just the most simple way to explain it is if you think about the New Testament, a lot of the stories that Jesus tells, the parables, they talk a lot about fishing, about sowing seeds, farming, harvesting, because that is what the people around him did. That was how they lived their lives, the vast majority of them. So they would
Mhm.
understand those ideas and those images.
Well, that certainly makes sense. You would want to explain to people what is going on around them and what they understand
Yes,
best.
that's
And
right.
certainly, those teachings are a great way for everyone to run their lives. And of course, we always want good things to happen to us, so it makes sense if we send good out, that's what we're going to get back.
That's right. And it's almost like now everybody knows this as a fact. It used to be considered something that came from the East, the idea of karma. But now everybody says, what goes around comes around. It's like a fundamental kind of, yeah, that's just how things are. Uh,
Mhm.
and one of the things that the latest teacher of the Ageless Wisdom, Benjamin Krem, said when he was alive was that humanity as a whole now has evolved so much farther than where we were 2,000 years ago at the time of Jesus Christ, that now we can absorb teachings and ideas in a much more complex and sophisticated way. And so the way that Benjamin Krem talks about who we are, about time and space, the world, the universe, is vastly more complex than what's in the Bible, for example, or in the Quran. And so it fits with who we are now. We've had an incredible explosion of science in the last 500 years or so, which has taught us so much about the universe and about ourselves that our understanding has changed fundamentally.
It certainly has. And there's a lot going on right now in the world. Everybody's aware that there's chaos and craziness happening. So, what does the transition from Pisces to Aquarius have to do with that?
Well, my understanding, based on these teachings, is that the reason for the chaos is that the energetic stimulus that we were living in for the last 2,000 years, the energies of Pisces, those were the energies that were streaming down onto us from the constellation of Pisces. And those energies stimulated our capacity to be individuals, our understanding of ourselves as individuals. They also stimulated our fanaticism, our devotion to an ideal, and we built structures, we built institutions that grew out of those energies. What's happening
Mhm.
now is that since 1675, the energies of Pisces have begun to enter our basically our solar system. It's not just us, the Earth, it's the entire solar system. And so these energies have a different effect. They stimulate synthesis and group work. And so synthesis is simply to bring together different elements and make something else out of those. And group work is what it says. So it's working together in groups. So one of the ways Benjamin Crumb explained this was he said, now what our challenge is to put our individualities to work for the greater good, for the good of the whole. And in fact, if we look around, we can see this happening. there are many more groups now active in terms of kind of volunteerism or activism, groups who are trying to improve life for themselves, for others, than we've seen ever before. And also, they
Mhm.
are aided by our technology. Now we can work together across distance. We can do things together in ways that wasn't possible before we had the internet or any of the more recent types of developments. So the chaos is because our institutions, for example, the way we do politics or the way the economy is run, all of that was built up over time, over hundreds of years, under the influence of the Piscean energies. And now that those energies are waning, they are lessening every day, and the energies of Aquarius are increasing every day, we are finding that those institutions, those ways of doing things, they don't work anymore because they're not being nourished by Piscean energies. The Aquarian energies create something different. They stimulate us to build something different. And so those structures are basically kind of like they become empty of life. They're like fossils. They're just kind of cracking and falling apart. They don't have any substance anymore. And I think you can see that when you look at what's happening. If you read the news, you listen to the news, you watch the news, everything shows us that the old ways of doing things to try to end a war or bring peace or improve the lives of people, they don't work anymore. You know, things like austerity, for example, it doesn't work. You know, we see it over and over and over. And yet our politicians don't seem to know how to do anything different. And so the chaos is because of this kind, it's a crisis. It's a crisis of understanding of who we are, really, because the Aquarian energies, in stimulating us to work together in groups, that arises out of a feeling that we have that we're connected to each other. And that sense of connection is something that has become stronger and stronger across the globe. I mean, you're seeing people going on
Mhm.
demonstrations thousands of miles away from a particular conflict or situation because they feel connected to it. So it's a new way of understanding ourselves and each other.
I wonder, it seems to me that there are a lot more spiritual teachers and leaders coming forward now, people who are consciousness aware and also wanting to train others and bring others up to a certain level of vibration. Are you finding that to be true as well?
Absolutely, yes. And that our understanding is the reason for that is because of the crisis, because we need the help. We're at a critical moment. We have
Mhm.
developed weapons, nuclear weapons, atomic bombs that can destroy all life for forever. You know, it's really dangerous. So because of that, we need lots and lots and lots of help. We need not just the teachings that we can understand, but all the things that those teachers do on the inner planes, things we aren't necessarily consciously aware of, but the ways in which they nourish us or provide a stimulus. Those are important factors that we may not know about, but they are necessary even so.
Who is Maitreya and who are the masters of wisdom?
Well, Maitreya is one of these spiritual teachers, and our information is that he is the teacher for the next age, for the age of Aquarius, in the same way that Jesus of Nazareth in Palestine was the teacher for the age of Pisces. And at every moment of change, this great change that happens as our solar system moves through the heavens, we are actually making a giant circle through the heavens that takes 26,000 years to complete. And if you divide 26,000 by 12, you get 2,160. And that's approximately how long we spend in alignment with each constellation as we move through this giant circle. And
Hmm.
so during the age of Pisces, those last 2,000 or so years, the energies of Pisces were what was nourishing us and stimulating us. And the teacher for that age was Jesus of Nazareth. And Maitreya is the name of the teacher for this coming age, the age of Aquarius, which we're now in, which has begun already. And he is what we call a master of wisdom. He's a person who has finished with all the incarnational experience on earth. That is, he's learned everything that there is to learn by being incarnated, by being born as a human being on our earth. All of us are going through this process moment by moment. We are learning, we're growing, we're refining our understanding, our capacity to respond to each other, our ability to be harmless, to not cause harm. This is something that we're doing constantly all the time, even without being aware of it. It's a natural process. It's part of being alive. And somebody like Maitreya has finished doing the part of that that requires being born on Earth as a person. So he and many others like him have already completed this process. We call them masters of wisdom because they have wisdom and they have mastery over themselves in ways that we don't. So, just as an example, a master of wisdom is not bound by time or space. And a master of wisdom could, for example, appear out of the thin air on the street in front of you, talk to you. He would seem completely like a real person. You could touch him. He's absolutely solidly there. And then he could just disappear. And not only that, but a master of wisdom could do this kind of showing up in many different places at the same time and using different appearances as well, because they are no longer limited by a physical body. So they can, using their mind, they can create a physical kind of vehicle for themselves to show up in. Other than that, I mean, they are also called the Lords of Compassion. Another way to understand them is they have great compassion for us because they have been us. They have gone through everything that we're going through. There isn't anything that we're experiencing that they haven't experienced. There is never any judgment or condemnation from them towards us because they know how hard it is to be a human being. Their role is to help us and to help all the kingdoms on Earth, mineral kingdom, plant, animal, the human kingdom, and then they make up what is called the spiritual kingdom of our Earth.
So Maitreya is a living being, living person that's on the earth right now.
That's right. He actually created a body for himself called a Maya Virupa. It's very special because he can live among us in our cities with all of the noise, pollution, everything that's part of that. But he can also, in that body, he can embody and function on all the highest planes as well. So he is more advanced than, well, it sounds odd to say a regular master of wisdom, but our understanding is that as you go through this process of evolving, near the end of the whole process, you go through 5 great expansions of consciousness, and they are given the name initiations. So there are 5 initiations. After you take the 5th initiation, you are a master of wisdom. That is, you're completely free of the pull of matter. So you don't need to eat or sleep, and they work 24 hours a day. They function as a group. They communicate telepathically. But beyond the 5th initiation, there are further initiations. There's no end point to this process of evolution of consciousness. So Maitreya is actually a 7th degree initiate, and he embodies the energy of love for the whole planet. So it's hard to maybe understand or, say even, but the way I can understand it and say it is that this energy that we call love is literally the energy that holds everything together. And there's a pop song about love making the world go round. Well, according to this teaching, this energy actually holds all the atoms together. And so it's an incredibly essential part of life. And Maitreya embodies that energy in himself. And so he says that every vibration of love that we feel, he feels. So he's connected to every single person through the energy of love.
Wow. Okay. So is this a person that we've seen on TV or on the internet?
Well, what we've been told is that he has actually been appearing on TV, but incognito, not announcing himself as Maitreya or a master of wisdom, just as a regular person, but he's been commenting on the current world situation, on politics. The reason he hasn't announced himself is that he cannot infringe our free will. So he can't just come out and say, "Here I am, Maitreya, the teacher for the New Age." What he needs is that we have to want to see him and hear him. Then he can respond to that in us. So he can only do it in response to us. But he can do something like appear incognito and just his presence and the things he says, if someone's watching that, they'll be receiving the energies of love through him, and they'll be hearing what he's saying, and that will have an impact. And so he'll be having an impact, even though you don't necessarily know that this is such and such person, but you're receiving, just as we all do from each other all the time. We all receive energy from each other, and we're nourished by it. We receive ideas from each other. So in the same way, I think the understanding I have of these appearances is that over time, as more and more people hear him in this way, there will start to be a growing desire on the part of people to know, who is that person? Who is he? Because he's different. There's something about him that is different from other people.
You mentioned that there are multiple masters. Do you know
Yes.
how many are on the earth right now?
Well, working to help our evolution, there are 63. But living in physical bodies in our cities, as of 2003, Benjamin Crumb said there were 14 living among us, and that eventually there will be 40 living in physical bodies, like dense physical bodies. But he said that would be over the
Okay.
long term. So I don't know. Right now, I don't know how many there are.
So it seems that there's a concerted effort to basically raise consciousness
Yes, absolutely.
and encourage us to love each other.
That's right, because
Right.
we have to save ourselves and we have to
Mhm.
save our world. Whether it's global warming or the threat of nuclear war or starvation, inequality, poverty, all of these things, we've created them, so we have to fix them. And
Right.
it wouldn't really help us if someone came along and waved a magic wand and just made it all better, because we would just create the problem again. So that's really the reason why we have to do it. And the purpose of all these masters, all the spiritual teachers, it's exactly what you just said. They are here to help us grow and learn and understand so that we can put into place or do the actions that will create solutions to all of these problems. But the thing that's interesting is that Maitreya says, because he transmitted messages directly through Benjamin Crumb during a period of years, and there is a book called Messages from Maitreya, 140 messages. In those messages, he always says, I mean, in addition to saying that we have to do the work, he says that he knows it's going to work out. He knows that we will choose the right path. That is, that we will choose healing and
Mhm.
hope, and we're not going to go the other way. He says he knows that. So I figure if someone of his level says that's what's going to happen, I will believe it. And anyway, I want to believe it,
Oh, yeah, we all do.
Yeah,
That's certainly a good message of hope. The planet needs that right now. So,
that's right.
yeah. So, um, what are some of the changes in our lives that Maitreya will inspire us to do?
Well, the first is sharing the world's resources. That's the very first, most fundamental thing. He says that people suffering from not having enough food, from not having adequate health care, sanitation, or proper homes, all
Mhm.
of that to him is a crime against humanity. And there's no need for it to be that way, because we have a superabundance on this planet of everything that we need. It's just not being distributed. And you could analyze that and say, why? I mean, a very simple answer would be the economic system that is created for profit. So people would rather hold goods back and wait till the price goes up through scarcity than make sure
Mhm.
people get what they need. So that's the first thing, sharing the world's resources. That will be done, he says, at the level of the governments of the world. So it's not asking me to give away my pension, my savings. It's the governments of the world will do that amongst themselves. And that will create justice, a real justice. We've never had that before. Once we have that, then peace can come, real peace. That's the first thing.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And so it makes me think. So many times I kind of waffle on this back and forth. Having a one world government with a one monetary system seems sometimes to be the best idea. Uh, it just seems like it would solve so many problems. But getting there with so many different cultures and languages, that seems like an impossible task.
Well,
Do you know if he has an opinion on that?
Yeah, definitely that is not the idea.
Okay.
Each individual culture, quality, idea, energy, language, everything is important. All of it's important. He says all the colors in the garden are important. The garden is beautiful. Your garden's beautiful because you have so many colors. And so there's no plan or need to homogenize and make it all one. No, it'll be a multiplicity. The idea is unity in diversity. So that diversity is very important. That's important for the health of everybody to have that diversity. So that will be absolutely fostered, encouraged, maintained, but we'll be working together. So we can have different languages or cultures. That doesn't mean we can't work together.
Well, since you mentioned that, it does seem like the world is starting to work together more lately. So that's a good sign. All right, we are going to take a short break and we'll be back right after these messages.
The UNX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the UNX Network website at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from UNX Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unxmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unxmedia.com or amazon.com.
And we're back with UNX News. I'm your host, Margie Kay, and we are speaking with Sabina Qureshi this evening about some very interesting things about our transition from Pisces to Aquarius. Sabina, how long will this transition take?
Well, my understanding is at least another definitely few centuries until we're fully living in the energies of Aquarius. That is, that we have built our new systems. This is going to take time. It's not an overnight thing. For one thing, there's a lot of value in our current old, Piscean systems. There are things that we should keep with us, that we should take with us into the future. So it's evolution rather than revolution. So it's not, the idea isn't that we want to destroy everything and start something new. It's rather we want to keep and treasure the things that are good from our current or past systems, and then adapt and evolve and grow into something that works better, that serves the needs of everybody.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds better,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. Yeah.
Got a comment in chat. Kathy Cat says yesterday, approximately 1100, I think that's the time, there was a huge shift. She felt it and could see it. What do you have to say about that? Did you feel anything yourself at that time?
Well, yesterday at 11 o'clock, I'm trying to remember where I was and what I was doing. Yesterday was
She said there was a
Thursday.
pure white
Yeah.
light in the atmosphere over the garden, the plants everywhere, white light. It made everything have a completely different hue. I have noticed that the sun is brighter all the time to me now. I can't look anywhere near it anymore, and everything else around seems brighter. Is that part of our transition?
Well, it could be. I have been noticing this brightness as well. I didn't notice a specific thing happening yesterday at 1100,
Mhm.
but in terms of changes, I think there is a heightened also awareness that we're having. Like each of us is more aware and more tuned in to energy and to light. Now, the interesting thing about light is that as we continue to grow in consciousness, you've heard the word enlightened, right?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
or people will say, could you shine some light on that, like to explain something? And so, literally, when we grow and improve our understanding of something or increase our understanding of something, the ageless wisdom says that your cells actually change. The atoms in your cells change. The physical, dense physical atoms become photons. That is, they become particles of light. It's a gradual process. It takes place lifetime after lifetime. So, we live hundreds of thousands of times. So it's not an immediate thing. But basically, as you continue to grow through this process, you become literally more light. Like literally your body changes to become more light, like the light that we think of as physical light, not just light like spiritual light. But I mean, actually spiritual light is physical light. That's the thing. They are the same thing. It is one and the same. It's energy. uh, but there's just
Mhm.
different gradations of it, different levels of vibration. So I think it's possible that you may be perceiving things that are happening that maybe other people aren't perceiving. I mean, it all depends on your ability to perceive what you're sensitive to also.
Yeah, and that I think that explains why I've been seeing when I have been doing remote viewing readings for people lately and look inside their body, I'm seeing, just in the last 3 months, that's all, a shift to a white color, and it always starts in the small intestine, and in a few people, it's gone to the pancreas and the stomach. And the message I got was this is a shift to fifth dimension, to a fifth dimensional physical body, which is much lighter. And it's white to me, it's light and it's glowing. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that sounds
that's what I
amazing.
think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's evidence for what you're talking about, that the shift is happening.
Yes, yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, I don't have the kind of perception you have, so I can't see that, but, you know, that it's a fantastic thing to hear that you're seeing that and that it's there, and I would be interested to know if the people concerned, if they notice anything, like, are they feeling something? That would be
Oh, they're
interesting.
they're having symptoms.
Mhm,
They're having symptoms of not being able to eat, heavy, low energy foods like, beef and pork,
mhm.
or it makes them ill. They're having some, vertigo issues, some headaches, some, just a feeling of something off, not quite right, that they're trying to just get reacclimated in their body. They don't feel, very grounded in their body,
Yeah.
and that's what every one of them say. And then also, what I see is in their vibration is they have very high vibrations.
Mhm.
These are people that are very advanced that this is happening to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things that spiritual teachers say is that it's healthier for people to eat a vegetarian diet, uh, that is considered to be healthier, or at the very least pescatarian. Like fish is apparently neutral. It doesn't lower your vibration, the vibration of your physical cells. But
Right.
what you say about this feeling of disequilibrium, or that they're kind of not okay in their bodies, like they're somehow a bit off, what the where I've heard that before is people who've spent time in a crop circle. Apparently, the crop circles that have appeared mostly in the south of England are created by fellow people, but from other planets. Benjamin Creme used to call them space brothers, or space brothers and space sisters. And what he said was that they're here in their thousands, in their ships, in their spaceships, helping us, doing many different things. But one of the things they do is they create crop circles as a way of, in an indirect sense, letting us know that they're here and letting us know that something is happening, things are happening. But after they've created a crop circle, the area where the crop circle is, if you go and stand there or you spend time there, we've been advised not to spend, like you could go there, but just for a few minutes and then leave. Like don't actually spend more than that in a crop circle, because the energies are of such a high vibration that they will have this kind of effect. They'll actually make you feel sick or have vertigo. It's kind of like getting sunstroke. It's too much, basically.
Right. Now that we're on the subject of UFOs,
okay.
You sent me a couple of pictures.
Yes.
So why don't I show one and you tell us about it?
Okay. So both of these photos are of UFOs that were captured just at the moment when they were shifting from, I don't know which way they were going, from the etheric level down to the dense physical, or the other way around. So the explanation is that we are aware of the three lowest levels of dense physical matter: dense physical solid, dense physical liquid, and dense physical gas. But just as some gases, for example, oxygen, has no smell, there's no way you can perceive it with your senses, other than that you can breathe. Above gas, there are 4 more levels of physical matter, but at higher and higher vibrations. That is, faster vibrations than what we know of as gas. And we call them etheric matter, those 4 higher levels. So these spaceships, well, all the spaceships, that is to say, in our solar system, they are all built on the etheric plane. That is, they're made of etheric matter. So we can't see them with our physical eyesight. There are people who have etheric vision, some, very few. That someone who has etheric vision would be able to see these ships in the etheric plane, that they would actually be able to see them. But in this case, this person caught on their camera a ship that was shifting from dense physical to etheric, or the other way around. Why do they do that? Well, basically, they will lower the vibration of their physical ship down to the dense physical. That is, so that basically they're just slowing down the rate of vibration of the atoms of the ship, which they can do with their minds. And when they lower the vibration, it becomes solid physical, like dense physical, and then we can see it. So they will do that if they want us to see them. And then when they don't want us to see them, they'll just raise the vibration again to the etheric plane.
Now, those pictures look like they were taken in a field. Did this have something to do with the crop circle?
Not to my knowledge. I think those pictures were taken in Holland, and I haven't heard of any crop circles in Holland. But I mean, UFOs appear everywhere in the world. Yeah.
Were those from Richard Vandenbroek?
I actually don't know, but I can find out and get back to you.
Because I do know he's in Holland, and he is a psychic photographer, and he's in telepathic contact with the beings of the craft, and they will let him know when and where they're going to be, and he goes, and then he's there and he takes pictures. I wouldn't be surprised, because those are pretty amazing. That's just not something you see every day.
That's right. Yeah.
And the poor guy that's out there in the field, he's facing the wrong direction. He missed it. Wow. Okay, let's go on then to this.
Right. So that
Right.
this is very interesting, and there's a link. I think you're going to be posting that. This is a story about the Pope John the 23rd, sorry, who was also known as the Good Pope. He met one of our space brothers or space sisters, and so there's this description on this website of what actually happened. It was in the summer of 1961 in July, and it was in the evening. They were in the Pope's summer residence in the garden, and he was there with his assistant. And as they were just walking around, suddenly they saw, the description is an unusual craft in the sky. So they saw a UFO. And then the assistant wrote, it was oval and had blue and amber flashing lights. The craft seemed to fly over our heads for a few minutes and then landed over the grass on the south end of the garden. A strange being came out of the craft. He looked human, except that he was surrounded by a golden light. So what happened next is that both the Pope and his assistant, they kneeled down before this being because, as the assistant said, we could tell that this was not an earthly person. This was somebody from beyond. They didn't know from where or what, but this light, this golden light, that was definitely celestial. So they kneeled down, and then the space person and the Pope ended up having a conversation for some minutes together at a distance from the assistant. So he couldn't hear what they were saying, but he just reported that they talked together for quite a while. And then after a few minutes, the Pope came back, and this being went into his spaceship, and he left. He took off. And I think there's a very interesting quote, what the Pope said about that afterwards. And I just have to access that document right now. Basically, after he had talked to this space person, he said to his assistant that the sons of God are everywhere. Sometimes we have difficulties in recognizing our own brothers. I think that's a wonderful story.
It is a wonderful story, and it's the first time I've heard it. And I've been studying some of the older UFO witnesses, from the 50s and 60s. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to have that story.
Yeah.
There's the website, guys, down here at the bottom. So copy that and go take a look at that for yourself. It's a long story.
Yeah, this
long
particular
read,
story,
but
yeah, it's about 2/3 of the way down on that website. Yeah.
okay. Fascinating stuff. What has been going on as of late that that you can talk about? That's something wonderful has happened, and
Sure.
and we're yeah. I'll just let you take it away.
Okay. Well, basically, our space brothers and sisters are here. One of the things they do is clean up pollution that we're not aware of. Nuclear radiation on the etheric plane, which we cannot measure. Our instruments don't measure it. But because we have nuclear reactors, apparently they are constantly leaking this nuclear radiation on the etheric plane, and it has very negative effects on us. It weakens our immune systems, and so there are many more incidences of cancer as a result of that, and the flu also. Another thing that this radiation does is that it causes a much higher rate of autism. So now apparently the rate of autism that we're seeing is 1 in every 80 births, and it used to be 1 in every 800. So that's a huge increase. Another thing it's doing is causing a much earlier onset of Alzheimer's. That's another thing that it does. So they are cleaning that up. They have the technology that they can do that. They can, because they are on the etheric plane, they can go inside physical matter, inside the oceans, inside water. So they're not just in the air, they can be on all the different kinds of substances, cleaning this up. But they can only clean it up within karmic limits. That is, they can clean it up to a point. but because we ourselves generated it and created it, there's a kind of limit as to how much they can clean up, but they do clean up as much as they can to help us, basically. Now, a positive thing, I mean, that's positive, definitely, but we're not necessarily able to see it or be aware of it consciously. But something we could see is what is being called a star-like luminary. So what this is in fact, it's these are UFOs. There are lots of different sizes and types of UFOs, as I'm sure people who are familiar with the topic know. But there's the recent appearance. Well, it's not that recent, but over the last decade or so, there has been the appearance of a very large UFO, the size of 5 football fields, which we can see at night in the sky, in the northwest sort of the sky, about a third of the way up. And it looks like a very bright star that twinkles. But in addition to twinkling like a normal star, it also changes color. So if you have a zoom lens and you look at it, you will actually see it changing into different colors. And there are some
I've seen that.
photographs. Have you seen that? Yeah.
Yes, I have seen it many times.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So the reason it's there, our information is that it is there as a symbol of hope for us, in the same way that the star over Bethlehem guided the wise men to where Jesus was born in the manger. This is our star for now, to remind us and to give us hope and tell us, yes, something good is happening. You're on the verge of a beautiful new civilization. This is not a time for hope and despair. And there are apparently 4 of these very large UFOs positioned one in each quadrant of our sky, so that no matter where you are on the earth, you will see it. And we've been told, and I have a friend who's done this, when you see the star and you recognize, oh, that's it, there it is, you can actually communicate telepathically with the space brothers and sisters in that UFO and ask them to either start flashing colors more if they're not already doing it, or to move in unusual ways that a star couldn't move, like side to side, or, just things that stars don't do. So I have a friend who, when she goes out into her garden at night and she sees the star and recognizes it, she'll ask them to do that type of thing. And then they very often will. So it's kind of an interesting thing to try out, to just go outside and ask, and then wait and see, see if they do it.
This is amazing, because we've been seeing that since 2011 over in the Kansas City area, and they're called the Kansas City Lights. But of course, they're everywhere.
That's right.
That is everywhere. Yeah. And one of the things we did was we took a 1,000,000 candle power flashlight. It was my husband's work light. I took it and I flashed it 3 times, and it flared up in response. And it did it 2 times in a row, and I've got witnesses. So
there you go.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct. I was going to tell everybody to watch out for that.
Right.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know we're getting kind of to the end here, but I wanted to ask you something. A lot of people that I talk to are suddenly changing their career path. They're stopping doing something that they're used to doing their entire life. It doesn't matter what their age is. They could be in their 40s or they could be in their 80s, and they're like, I have to do this other thing. What is going on with that?
That's the voice of their soul. They may have fulfilled expectations. They may have felt they had to earn a certain type of income, or for whatever reason, they did the things they did. There are lots of different things that motivate us, but at a certain moment, something inside of you will suddenly be so insistent, telling you, no, now I have to do this other thing, regardless of how crazy it seems or doesn't make sense to anybody else. That's the voice of your soul. That's your inner heart speaking. And I think it's because of the changes we're going through, that our solar system, what we're going through here on Earth, all of that is contributing to making that more real, more audible. It's like we can hear the voice of our soul better, and it's becoming more insistent, and louder.
Indeed. Indeed. People are telling me they're finally connecting with their higher self, and that they're hearing this. And so it's a wonderful thing. Do we have new energies sweeping the planet right now?
We do. We absolutely do. And there's a type of meditation that I heartily recommend to anyone who's interested in the idea of group meditation that will be both of service to the world and a great service to yourself. It's called transmission meditation, and it involves these energies that you're talking about, these very, very potent, high frequency energies that are spiritual and are of great impact in moving us along and stimulating our growth. So in transmission, you sit together with other people, 3 or more. It's based on the science of triangles. Now, since the pandemic, people are also doing this over Zoom. So either in person, you go and meet in a room together in someone's house or in a bookstore, or on Zoom. People are doing it now, and it works also. And basically, what we do when we sit together like that as a group is that these energies, which are so potent and have such a high vibration that individually we could not absorb them. They're too high a frequency, so they would just bounce off of us. But in a group, with the help of the masters of wisdom who are part of the process of transmission meditation, they actually guide and direct these energies through our chakras when we sit and do this meditation. And they make sure that you only receive as much energy as your chakras can tolerate safely. So it's very safe. They direct the energies through your chakras. The energies enter and then leave. So you're really just a channel for these energies to go through. And the meditation is called transmission because you're literally transmitting the energies. At the same time, the energies are becoming lower in vibration as they pass through your body, because they pass through your physical body, not just your etheric body. And so the energy itself is altered, like a transformer would change the voltage of electrical current so that it becomes safe. So that is exactly what happens. The energies become lower in vibration, and they now can be absorbed by people. And then the masters direct them to wherever those energies are needed. They always say that we shouldn't try to direct the energies because we may not understand where they should be going. And if we did direct them, we might direct them somewhere where by directing them to that spot, we would actually make things worse because the energy would stimulate something that shouldn't be stimulated. So they just say, just be the channel, let the energy go through you, and let the masters direct it. So it's a very simple meditation. We start by saying the great invocation. It is an invocation, as the name says, calling for light, love, and power. So I'll just say the first stanza, that gives you an idea. It says, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men, let light descend on earth. And then the next stanza is the same, but for love. And then the last stanza is for will. And in this invocation, the word God, I personally don't think of it as the God, like the Judeo-Christian God, so a man with a white beard sitting in heaven, but rather God being the source of everything, which I don't think is a specific being. I mean, my understanding is that each of us is God. That is, the same energy that creates everything is in us. And we are also creators. We're just expressing it to a lesser degree. But every form of life is expressing that energy. And our goal as we evolve is to express more and more of it, and to express it more perfectly, like with less distortion. But that it's an infinite progression. So the earth itself is a being also, just as you are and I am. And that being is expressing itself through its body, which is the physical earth. And that would be the same for all the planets and also for the solar system, because everything's a system. That is, it's a unity made up of many smaller parts all working together. If you think of your physical body, that's what it is. Even each of your organs is a system made up of many smaller parts. So in the same way, this goes on and on and on to larger and larger levels. The solar system is a being, and then the galaxy is a being who is so great that, in these writings, they say that being is someone about whom nothing can be said, because we can't possibly understand anything.
We can't fathom that. No, it's so huge.
Yeah.
Okay. What is coming up next for you? And can people still get and watch your webinars that you aired on YouTube?
Yes, they're still on YouTube. They're there to be watched. Please do tune in, and please do post any questions. We would like to know what you think or any questions you have. The other thing is you can go look at the website share-international.org to find more information, and share-international.us. And there's
Okay.
lots of information on both of those websites about Maitreya, about the Space Brothers, about the Masters of Wisdom, about transmission meditation. And you can also post questions. You can buy the books by Benjamin Creme, either in digital form or physical form. There's like a part of the website for that. What else? There are other webinars and broadcasts that are listed, especially on the American site. So you can also connect to those. There's one that's quite interesting called Mystic Takeaway, and that is people talking about times they met a Master of Wisdom. Apparently, this happens more often than you would think. The masters, yeah, they'll appear to people at maybe a moment of crisis, or to help you, or to just kind of give you a little nudge to make sure you're going in the right direction.
Right.
And they'll always seem like a completely real person, but there'll be something that'll maybe get your attention, something that makes you think that was not quite normal. There was something extra there. Yeah.
Yeah, when they come in out of nowhere and hit your husband on the back and save his life in a restaurant and then disappear.
There you
Had
go.
that happen,
Exactly.
that was not a human being.
That's
So,
right.
thank you so much, Sabina. This has been fascinating,
Thank
and
you.
just want to dig in so much more with you. So, will you come back again sometime?
For sure, I'd love to. It was a pleasure to be here, Margie.
Okay, thank you so much. All righty, folks, that is the end of tonight. So, I will see you here again next week on Next News.